And statements expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of WWDB, its staff, or management.
You are listening to In the Know with David O. Informative, substantive, intelligent talk radio on 860 AM WWDB. And now, your host, Philadelphia Councilman David O.
Good afternoon. This is David O. Thank you for joining me. I hope you had a great week, great weekend. And here we are on another Tuesday afternoon. Joining us today are three wonderful people, Hector Serrano, Stephanie Seiple, and Elizabeth Crawley. Hector is my first guest, and he is the founder of a organization called Grupo Fuego, and that is a Latin dance group. And then Stephanie is someone who's been around in the music world here in a very significant fashion, and she's done so many different things, but we're spotlighting her. Stephanie Seiple, co-founder of Tri-State Indie, among other things. And then people want to know, and you can always send a question in if you have something you'd like me to ask or answer if you have a question you'd like to have answered. And you can send that to David O Radio Show at gmail.com, davidoRadioShow@gmail.com. And this week the question is, who does the intro to your show? So if you've listened to the show, we try to offer you informative, substantive, intelligent talk radio. And the voice of the intro is Elizabeth Crawley. She's a student and a model, and she says substantive. I say substantive. I don't know if substantive is a word, but, it seems to work. We'll see where she's from, that she started with that. But anyway, let me start by thanking Weinerman Pain and Wellness, the sponsors of our show, who do such a wonderful job in helping people recover from their injuries, get back to work in particular, and all the folks who sponsor this show, PhillyLabor.com. If you remember, last week we had the great pleasure on a very snowy day when everyone was kind of snowed in of talking to David Ivory, multi-platinum engineer, producer, and he is just a wonderful person who takes musicians to the highest level. Grammy nominated, by the way. And Carla Morales, she is the writer, director, producer of The Book of Nimrod. That was a whole conversation. And the reason I say this is you could go to WWDB AM 860 on the internet, and you can listen to podcasts of our show. And so if you want to hear about The Book of Nimrod, which is basically filmed here in Philadelphia, and she's about to cut a big deal. And yes, she's looking for actors, actresses, and other folks. So this is the time to get on board. And we spoke to Judge Patrick Dugan. He is the chief judge of Philadelphia Veterans Court, a veteran himself. And let us know about what Veteran Court does, and you'll be happy to know that we do our best to take care of our veterans in a smart and intelligent manner. Well, let me start by introducing you to Hector Serrano. Hector, he was born in Philadelphia and started dancing when he was just 4 years old through a school program. I note that because I just don't know how many school programs are out there anymore in today's environment. But yes, it really made a great impression on him and really kind of shaped him. And so he was born in Philadelphia of Puerto Rican parents. And in 1996, he founded Fuego Dance Company with his family members, Idis and Jasmine Serrano. And from there, he has continued with Fuego y Caliente, which is a Latin dance, and not only performs in wonderful competitions and venues with all kinds of celebrities, including legendary salsa band El Gran Combo, Brenda K. Starr, Tyra Banks, Patti LaBelle, Jose El Canario. Oops, losing my Spanish here. Jose El Canario Alberto, a Dominican salsa singer, DLG, Dominic, Grupo Mania. I'm getting the yes. It's a merengue group. and countless others. But he has been the driving force of this group, Fuego y Caliente. And so before we bring him on, we've just got a little flavor of the music if it gets you in the right spirit. All right. So whenever I hear that music, I can see a couple dancing. Hector, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for the invitation. Thank you.
Oh, well, listen, let me tell you that as a councilman, I've been to many events and, everything from the Puerto Rican Day Parade to different community events. And I've always been delighted to see your group of young people come out, sometimes in pretty cold weather,
yes,
in their outfits, which is tropical, folks, tropical outfits in like freezing cold weather, but they never complain. They are so happy and proud to be there, and when they perform, not only do you see the excitement, but wow, they're just fantastic, performers, and I can't help but really mark that a lot of them are coming from very challenged backgrounds, and it must be so difficult to engage them in things, and they have got a lot of unfortunate circumstances, and this seems to be just something that they're so proud of, so eager to be a part of, really lights them up. And I just really, every time I see that, I say, wow, Hector Serrano, this is just an amazing thing. But I had no idea that you started way back in 1996.
Yes.
How did this all start?
Well, it started as a hobby, and I started seeing a lot of people just dancing for fun in our community. And my sister and I decided to start a dance team, and it was just for fun. And it was just to keep the neighborhood kids from the original Latino barrio from Fairmount and Wallace. We wanted just to have fun, so we were practicing in the streets with no studio, no nothing, just cold weather, a neighborhood, and 10 group of kids.
How old were you?
I was 18 going on 19 years old.
Wow.
So.
And so did other people think you were kind of weird, or did everybody like, wow, that's fantastic, that's so cool?
Well, the crazy part is that at first I had a few family members and friends that thought, why am I doing it? They said,
Yes.
You're wasting time. And I did have a few people that, rejected the idea. But
Yes.
being brought up by a single mom that, was very persistent, I never took no for an answer. And 21 years later, here we have the oldest Latino dance team in the city.
And you have gotten some wonderful honors and accolades, just so many. But I'd like to mention a few for our audience so they understand just the quality of performance that you're bringing. So, Grupo Fuego has been the recipient of such awards as the Hispanic Choice Entertainer of the Year for 3 years in a row, the Liberty Bell Award presented by the Mayor of Philadelphia, the Latino Pride Award presented by the Governor of Pennsylvania, the City of Hope Award, and first place in the Puerto Rican Day Parade, among many others.
It's been a true honor in receiving these awards, but I think that the recognition besides the dancers or the parents that are behind these kids. I always say that the reflection of the parents is what I see in the studio, and I truly have kids that genuinely enjoy and have the passion for music, not only Latino music, but just music in general. It's their outlet. It's their home away from home.
Yes.
It's where they can relieve their stress, any bullying, any anxiety, anything that's going on within their circle. They're able to forget about it for 2 or 3 hours and just be free and let the music take them to where home or friends won't be able to take them.
Now, I was very honored to attend your awards gala.
And we thank you so much for taking time out on a Sunday to come, and it was an honor having you, Councilman.
Oh no,
Thank you.
listen, it was a pleasure for me. But I bring that up because number one, it was wonderful to see those proud parents, and what a classy event at Tierra Colombiana.
A proud sponsor of Grupo Fuego.
They do some great stuff.
Yes.
But you actually had awards and medals and certificates, and when the kids got up there, some of them quite young, they were just beaming with pride.
Yeah, I think that nowadays, some schools don't get to acknowledge that many students on a monthly basis. It's usually either 8th grade or senior year. But I think that if you acknowledge a kid and just give them some kind of hope and let them know they're doing such a great job, it makes a big impact. So acknowledging these kids from 7 years old, as old as 20 years old, from elementary to going into college, I think that showing them that someone is noticing their hard work and dedication, it gives them that hope.
Now, how do you handle these dancers? Some of them are pretty young, and then some of them are teenagers and adults. Do you have like one way that you inspire them and teach them, or do you do it kind of like different for each age group?
I do it for different age group. For the kids, I try to. When people ask me how do I do it in maintaining, the energy and just the positivity within the studio, I think it's really important to put yourself in their shoes. So I do not come in and act like a history teacher or, a science teacher. I come in and I just want to be their friend. So I come in and I just want to make sure that first and foremost, I gain respect from the dancers, and they know that I'm here to show them good quality dances. And in return, they give me a great performance at every festival, not only in the city, but when we have performed in Chicago, Puerto Rico, Los Angeles, and all around the country.
Right. You were telling a story at that event on Sunday about the first time you traveled.
Yes.
And why don't you tell our listeners about that? That was a very moving, touching story.
The first time that I traveled, it was to Puerto Rico. It was I wanted to be the first salsa dance team here in Philadelphia to perform at the Puerto Rico Salsa Congress, where the best of the best perform, world champion instructors. And it was about maybe 5,000 salsa dancers from all over the world, Italy, Japan, Africa, all over the world. And my mom and my sister sacrificed in getting loans and just maxing out their credit cards and taking, 24 parents and dancers to Puerto Rico to learn about their heritage. When they got there, it was just an amazing experience. But just like in life, it's not a smooth roller coaster. You have, ups and downs.
They had some great opportunities, and then what happened? Because you made this big sacrifice to take the parents and kids over to Puerto Rico, and then when you got back, what was different?
What was different was that out of 24 parents and dancers, we were down to 2 dancers.
They all left.
They all left. They decided to join another team from New Jersey. And I was heartbroken, but again, being a persistent Latino with a mother that never took no for an answer, I said I have to do something. And the crazy part is that Friday we had a performance for the senior class at Temple University. And I called them and I said, well, we're not able to perform. And they said, well, it's no problem. As long as you give us $5,000 for the advertising that we spent. I'm like, what? So I immediately recruited dancers, created a costume in 1 week, and we had a standing ovation. I got 14 dancers, and from 2 dancers, we had 14 dancers, standing ovation, and we were able to take care of the crazy debt. But that's the one thing that I always show my dancers, that you're going to have obstacles, and you're going to have people that talk about you and, betray you, because that's a part of life. But I refuse to let those people bring me down, because I have a mother and I have a family that are very determined people. But above all is my faith in God. God is what keeps me humbled and what keeps me going.
Wow, that's fantastic. And it has not been an easy road, and at the same time, there have been some really good things that have happened along the way that have just kind of been there for you to continue.
Yes.
Including performance locations and those type of things.
It's been a privilege and an honor, whether it's the smallest contracts to the largest contracts. It's been an honor for every client that we have served, and community and city and state, especially our number one sponsors, which is the Philadelphia Phillies. We've been hosting the Phillies Latino Night this will be our 16th year.
Wow.
Well, so those of you that are interested, Latino Night is August 25th, and it's just a wonderful family-oriented event. Also, hosted by Goya Foods.
Yes.
So we've been doing it for 16 years, and tomorrow we'll be also representing the Latino community at Wells Fargo Center. They want us to be the community liaison for the Flyers and the 76ers,
Oh,
as well
fantastic.
as the Archdiocese and the School District of Philadelphia.
Well, listen, for folks who right now are saying, man, I need to know more about Grupo Fuego, where do they go to find out about you?
The best way, our website is under construction. We're remodeling our entire website, so it'll be up and running next month. But they can feel free to contact me, 267-979-4866. Again, it's 267-979-4866. And to all the Latinos out there, 267-979-4866.
Perfect. Just kind of looking at today with all the acclaim, right now you have some pretty big sponsors and supporters. Would you like to name just some of them?
Yes, again, first and foremost, it is the Philadelphia Phillies as well as Latino Partnership. They have been my mentor. Angel Medina has been helpful since day one. Felicita Feliciano, Keystone First Health Partners, Wells Fargo Bank, and all the small community Latino organization and big ones like APM organization, Taller Puertorriqueño, Concilio, and the list goes on and on.
Yes. Now let me ask you, did you go solicit each one of them, or I'm thinking they probably saw, the performers and they walked up and said, how can we support?
Yeah, at first we didn't know anything. For the first 10 years, and that's why I say determination and faith is two factors to success. For the first 10 years, we didn't make not one penny. We were broke.com. So we didn't have anything. And once they started realizing that the group from 14 dancers, we were now teaching 300 kids absolutely free for the first 10 years. They said, well, guess what? We want to help you. And that's where sponsors started giving us a call, noticing us and said, well, we want to help you. How can we help? And that's when I learned about the great word sponsorship. And that's how I learned how to just, network. And as much as I can, I like to network with as many people, whether they're small corner stores to tow truck. There's so much sponsors out there. You just have to ask and let them know about your mission, and they're there to help us.
Oh, that's great. What are you most proud of when you look back in your career from the time you founded this organization until today?
I think the one thing that I'm most fond of is seeing the impact that we did in the North Philadelphia area. In North Philly, every time I mention North Philly, people have this image that it is rough and it is complicated and it's low income and people are kind of on the rough side. But I'm really proud that I kind of had a ripple effect that now there's 10 dance teams within North Philadelphia. And as well as some of them started with my dancers. Kids that come up to me that now have their master's and doctor's degree. And they tell me, I'm so proud to be a part of Fuego. You showed me what is it to be a young man or a young woman. What is it to have an education? Just this week, I have a dancer, which I hope she's listening because I text her.
Yes,
Michelle
yes.
Canales.
This is your time, Michelle.
So Michelle Canales is visiting from Atlanta. She's getting her master's in Atlanta. And she's taking time out to say, I want to see my stepfather and I want to see how Hector's doing. So the fact that they call me their uncle, their stepdad, it shows the family bond that we have from past to present. So the education, I think, is one of the most proudest moments that I urge the kids, and I'm really proud of with all of the dancers that we instilled.
How are you able to attract so many young people to your program? Because, look, honestly, myself coming from a different culture altogether, and being from Southwest Philly, I just really myself wouldn't think of salsa and Latino dance as something that I would tell my friends about at 12 years old, 13 or 14. But you attract so many kids, boys and girls, and they're just really so proud to be a part of this.
I think the one thing that we're blessed with is going into the schools, and especially with the younger generation, like going into high school, the 12 to 13-year-olds. They say, well, I can't. And I said, excuse me? I said, the word can't doesn't exist in our dance company's vocabulary. And they said, no, I can't. So once I show them a basic of bachata or salsa, they're addicted to it. And then they say, well, how can we join? And we tell them, well, it's no cost. It's free. And they say, what? And I said, yeah, it's absolutely free. No registration, no dues. And we're able to attract so many dancers and just performing at different venues, at different schools, colleges, and universities. That's how we were able to attract from Rutgers to Westchester to Temple, LaSalle, Drexel, so many students from all over the tri-state area.
I remember I was at one of the parades, and a young lady, standing in front of the group, and what a wonderful picture, first of all, the colorful outfits and all that. So I took a picture with a young lady, and we had just a little conversation, and she was graduating high school, going into the Marine Corps. Yes. And I just said, wow, what a positive person. And you must really have such good memories and good relationships, but it also must be tough when you lose a dancer or someone falls out of contact, and sometimes I'm sure, things are they just don't work out based on the difficulties of the community.
And I think that's one of the hardest challenges that I do take to heart, and it just really takes a toll. I get attached to the dancers as family, so when they leave, it's really difficult. Now, you have those dancers, and anyone that knows me, I'm really blunt and straightforward. Yes. You have those dancers that are like family that you want to cherish forever, and you have those dancers that are headaches, and you're like, okay, just bless them and continue. But the ones that are like family, those are the ones that I'm really, I miss. And I kind of, I get teary-eyed because, whether their parents just don't want them in the dance team because they rather have them work at 14 and 15 years old, and that's the struggles that they go through. These are kids that they need to work at 14 years old so they can put food on their table or have a clean shirt or, take care of their mom's bills. And that's what we do. So we try to give them, even after school jobs where they can, do certain things, whether it's clean the studio or help with events, and just give them, money that they can have a few extra bucks that they will be able to buy an outfit for an event or help their mom with a cell phone bill or just even do a small grocery, which we get it all the time. We get phone calls at 2 a.m. where kids are crying and calling my mother or I, staying there starving. Or we have a kid that comes in with the same T-shirt for 4 weeks, and we noticed it, so we just tell them, here's a new pack of T-shirts. It's like, why? He's like, just because. And especially within this current generation, it's shocking. 21 years ago, I never experienced it, but now even depression with teens that they just want to, hurt their bodies. Right. And we come in and we have to, kind of get, therapists and, organizations involved so we can help them and get them the help and treatment that they need.
Okay. Well, listen, obviously you care.
Yes.
And you've had so many successes. And for those that haven't exactly worked out, but you have touched their lives, and we never know when that is going to make a difference. So for people who want to follow, again, I know your website's under construction, but where should they go?
So they can go to actually also our Instagram page, and we have a Facebook page. So on Facebook is Grupo Fuego. So again, Grupo Fuego on Facebook, or Instagram will be my name, Hector Serrano, and the number 1, so Hector Serrano 1. And last but not least, our direct contact, so 267-979-4866, 267-979-4866.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Hector.
Thank you,
and listen, everyone, stay tuned because we'll be right back with Stephanie Seiple right after these commercials.
You are listening to In the Know with David O. Informative, substantive, intelligent talk radio on 860 AM WWDB.
My friends, this is Joe Kraus. You've heard me on Philadelphia radio now for over 20 years, and I don't often endorse products or people unless they are real game changers. I want to tell you about Weinerman Pain and Wellness, located in Center City, Philadelphia. And at the end of this short personal endorsement, I want you to consider Weinerman Pain and Wellness. If you are recovering from an injury, If you or a family member has been diagnosed with a disorder that has stopped you in your tracks, or if you're like me, determined to learn about wellness while getting yourself prepared to stay healthy so you can enjoy the blessings of your family. Remember the name of this warm and caring location, Weinerman Pain and Wellness. Why should you consider Weinerman Pain and Wellness? Because they are who you expect them to be. Weinerman Pain and Wellness, on the web at WeinermanPainandWellness.com.
Weinerman Pain and Wellness, located at 100 South Broad Street, just south of City Hall. Call Weinerman Pain and Wellness at 215-988-9503. That's 215-988-9503. Call today. Today's broadcast is brought to you by the Philly Labor RX Injured Workers Pharmacy Network, featuring PPC Pharmacy, First Choice Pharmacy, and Precision Scripts, providing injured workers with premium products and services from the point of injury through the entire healing process. The Philly Labor RX Pharmacy Network cares about injured workers.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for staying tuned. Thank you for waiting for Stephanie Seiple. You just heard, I hope you did, Hector Serrano. If you didn't, please catch our podcast. You can, Google In the Know with David O or WWDB 860 AM. One of the things that I'm always delighted is that my guests are just such great people, and there is always a common theme. They have to overcome these obstacles. They stick with it. They persevere. There's certainly a lot of points where, a lot of people quit, but they stick with it, and it's not for the money. One day I'll have a guest on who's really just doing it for the money, because I would really like to do that. He'd be pretty, or she'd be pretty wealthy, but, that's good too. But so far, we have folks who do it for, anything but the money. Well, that could be said, of course, about my next guest, Stephanie Seiple. She is the secretary of the Philadelphia chapter of the Recording Academy. That's the Grammys. And she is also a member of the new Philadelphia Music Industry Task Force. And she has been involved in the music career, in the music industry for such a long time. She's young, but it's just really interesting to look at the diversity of her background. She began her career working for labels like RCA, Wind Up, Epic, and Columbia, where she was part of a radio promotion team that helped develop and break superstars like Kings of Leon, Maroon 5, the White Stripes, John Mayer, and the Stokes, and others. And she was with major labels for 6 years, doing some great marketing with iconic recording artists, and being the coordinator of marketing for retailers like Best Buy and Barnes & Noble. She traveled the country producing, managing national branded tours for Camel, R.J. Reynolds, and Pabst Blue Ribbon, working with Mixmaster Mike from the Beastie Boys, Phoenix, Kings of Leon, Spoon, the Black Keys, and others. In 2007, she became the general manager of the School of Rock national headquarters and later became a production marketing manager for a concert production company servicing clients like Lady Antebellum, Eric Church, Cameo, Rick Ross, And she also is the co-founder, along with her husband, of a very successful music magazine called Tri-State Indie. And she has done so many things with major artists and radio stations, and I could go on, but let me introduce you to Stephanie. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, thanks for joining us. Listen, I wasn't kidding. I mean, you have this very kind of really rich career background, but you're actually quite young. How did you get involved in all of this?
Well, I guess young is kind of relative.
Here's the good news. You look young, so if you're like 100 years old, you're fooling a lot of people.
I'll take it. You know, I will admit I turned the big 40 this year.
Oh my goodness.
So, but I am told that I look young. I don't know how, with all the stress of this stressful business that we choose to be in.
You can thank your parents. You can thank your parents. Good genes.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Yes. So how did you get involved in music? I mean, was it something you knew you were going to get into, or did you just fall into it by accident?
It definitely wasn't by accident. My dad is a drummer, and he was in a band for 25 years, a cover band. Wow. But I grew up since I was about 8 years old or so. We had band practice every week at my house. Wow. So in my basement, there was always a group of people rehearsing for, whatever gig they had coming up in the South Jersey or Philadelphia area, weddings and events and things like that.
It's a miracle you didn't grow up hating music.
I mean, hey, it could have been the opposite. Yes. Some kids don't want to follow in what their parents are interested in, but I was kind of,
hooked on music.
I loved it. I learned how to play drums like my dad. He did help teach me in the beginning. I did take lessons and participated in band through middle school. And things like that. And I was always obsessed with radio, back in the day when we still had LPs and cassettes and collecting tapes. And when they would break, I would tape them back together so they would still work and things like that. And waiting for songs to come on the radio so you could write down lyrics, which doesn't really happen anymore in today's age.
People don't know what you're talking about. I do.
There's young folks out there that probably have no clue. But that's pretty much how I grew up, and music was always a big part of my life. And I did kind of, by happenstance, get into the business side of music, I will say. But just because I always had a passion for it, I kind of surrounded myself around people that were working in radio. And I have some amazing old roommates that I lived with, actually down in Florida, and worked at a radio station. I interned there and helped them out and met the right people. So I guess a lesson to be learned is if you're passionate about something, surround yourself with people that are professional in doing what you want to strive to do and be. And that's pretty much how it came to be.
Now, when you were in high school, what were you planning to be when you graduated?
Honestly, I wasn't really sure. I was one of those kids who I didn't know if I even really wanted to go to college or if I wanted to do something trade oriented. At the time, even another addition to music was ballet. I studied ballet since I was about 3, and I was actually taking college courses at Rowan University when I was in high school. So I was part of the South Jersey ballet company, and I was kind of teetering with, do I continue down that path with choreography, or do I get into something that's more business oriented? And so I did spend some time in college. But I didn't graduate from Kutztown, where I started. I ended up going to a business school in Florida and graduated from there. And I think that business education really helped me now in music, because if you're going to be in music business, it's fun, but you need to know business as well.
Yes. So that is interesting. I mean, having been surrounded with folks in music and having that interest, not just in music, but also in dance. When did your first significant opportunity come in the music field?
Well, I was at a concert. I was helping out my roommate who worked at the radio station, where you could say I was interning at one point. And we went to a concert that she had to work. It was actually Ozfest. It's an Ozzy Osbourne's festival. I don't know if that even happens anymore. This was a long time ago. This was probably 98, 99, something like that. And I ran into this wonderful woman who was the promotion regional representative in the South for Wind Up Records, and she was working out of Atlanta. Back in the day when the record industry used to have actual branches instead of just New York City and LA like they do now, and Nashville. So we just kind of hit it off, and she was like, man, you are so passionate about this, and you have a great personality. And she was like, we need a new assistant in that office. And at the time I was living in Florida after I graduated school. Right. And I said, hey, well, when do I pack my bags?
So it was a right time, right situation, and you just kind of jumped in there.
Yeah. I literally that month packed up all of my stuff and moved to Atlanta. Didn't know a soul. And I got there, and consequently 2 other labels also needed assistance. And so I ended up helping out another gentleman who's now my current business partner after all these years, who was working for RCA, another woman who was working for RCA, and another gentleman who was working for Jive at the time. So I was kind of, helping all of them and being an assistant to them part-time to start, and then also filling in the gaps because you got to make money on top of that, and waiting tables and things like that just to make it work, because I wanted to, whatever the sacrifice was, I was willing to do it to know that this is the field that I want to be in, and I'm passionate about it. So, were
you pretty happy about your situation?
I was ecstatic about my situation.
I would think so, right? It must have been like, wow, look at me.
It's kind of almost like fate, you kind of know what you want to do, but then you start putting your foot in the right direction, and things just start falling into place. So I believe that everything happens for a reason, and I was surrounded by great people too, which also helps, that were willing to teach me and be great mentors. I wouldn't be where I am today without any of them.
So let's fast forward, because you have this like very diverse, interesting background in so many areas of music, but then you kind of develop your own business. When did that happen, and how did that happen?
Kind of out of necessity.
I was going to say, and why did that happen? So I see we're getting to the why first.
Yeah, I think that this is very important, because if most people know, in 2005, the music industry really took a hit and a change where big conglomerates were dissolving into each other, and people were losing their jobs across the country. Yes. And, that was a long time coming, actually. If we would have maybe did something different in the industry in the late 90s and early 2000s, maybe we wouldn't have had all of those changes.
Right.
But with that, I stayed afloat. I came back here, and after I got off the road, managing some of those branding tours, which was contract work at the time. You never knew when a client was going to pull out, and those tours weren't going to happen anymore. And then actually the School of Rock HQ headquarters was here in Philadelphia. I believe they still call the flagship school here in Philly. So that was started here. And then changes happened there. They got bought out by a venture capital. I knew heads were going to roll. And so I kind of moved back into the production world, the concert production world, and same thing. Things were good for about 9 months, and then money just wasn't there. So it really just speaks to the more of the global shift of what was happening in the industry at that time. It was really hard. And so I got laid off for the first time in my life. And I was like, you know what, maybe I need to take a time out and really think about what I'm doing. And who am I going to work for? What do I want to do? I want to get into something that's sustainable. Should I stay in the music industry? Should I not? And I just couldn't imagine not being in the industry. Right. I thought about doing other things, and I was like, no, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I started Tri-State Indie kind of just haphazardly because I was unemployed. I was like, I got to do something. So started a blog, and the next thing you know, people were actually reading it. I was like, what? Who is reading this? People actually care what I have to say. And then we acquired a bunch of other folks to write and take photos, and now it's been 9 years, and we've really done some amazing things. We've covered most major festivals in the United States, and photo and video-wise, and doing interviews with artists and publishing music news. So it was really cool, and we started doing events on top of that because a blog doesn't really pay the bills entirely.
Right.
So out of necessity between my husband and I, of what we knew, we kind of started partnering with other entities and doing events with them. Depending on what that was, on those clients' needs and different brands, and servicing them and introducing them to bands. So it was really a great. Don't get me wrong. It's just like Hector was saying earlier. The struggle was real. We didn't make any money in the first few years, but then as we build out, and we got an office space in Fishtown here in Philadelphia,
yes.
and we got more established and more connections, then money started coming in. So. Same thing. We could have quit. We could have bailed. I could have went and got a job doing something else, but we stuck with it, and it's definitely been a great run.
For our listeners, what do you offer them if they want to hire you or if they need you, and where do they find you?
Well, you can check us out. We've got a great website. We've got the blog portion, but we've also got a tab on there that's listed as production, which kind of has all of our services and what we can do if you're looking to produce an event or you need to hire any type of musical acts or anything, at tristateindie.com. That's tristateindie.com.
Okay, pretty good. Now, listen, everybody. I got some tickle in my throat, so I do apologize if you hear like cough in the background. That's me. They just brought me a bottle of water. Thank you. So what happens is, you are, and I'm just letting my listeners know, you are working on some secret stuff, so we can't talk about it. But I'm only throwing that in there because just as you were talking about how things were so unstable, there was all these different things going on. That was part of the changes in the music world, and technology and other things are still making changes, and so you are involved in some other things that we can't talk about, just to say to the listeners that, hey, it's not just what she's talking about. There's some other stuff as well. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, the music industry has been trying to iron itself out for the last 12 to 15 years, and it's one of those things where you've got there's so many different things now because of technology and streaming, and I feel like a lot of the streamers are coming and going. Some of the big ones are still around, Pandora and Spotify and Apple Music and such, but those folks too are also trying to still figure out their business model. They keep changing, different price points. Do you do freemium? Do you not? Do you do high quality sound? And if you follow even the stock market and you look at what's happening with them, they definitely are still trying to work it out themselves, which is interesting. And then you've got terrestrial radio like we're on today, and it's still number one, believe it or not. A lot of young people I think don't realize, but terrestrial radio still is the number one source for music discovery. Wow. So I think that with that being said, and artists getting paid and royalty splits and things like that, there's a lot of things happening down, even at Congress with copyright laws. And then, how that reflects how artists get paid. It's such a large global issue, and yes. I don't think that we're going to fix it, even in the next couple of years or overnight. But I will say that there's a lot of people that are working on this hard to change things and make things fair for artists, so that basically musicians and music can survive, and people can still make a living at doing it.
Well, you've done a lot of work there, and as I said, Stephanie is the recording secretary for the Philadelphia chapter of the Grammys, and a member of the Philadelphia Music Industry Task Force, and so she is working on all these things, and we really thank you for coming by today.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, listen, everybody, stay tuned. Right after this break, we'll be talking to the voice of the radio show. You'll be familiar when you hear her voice. That is Elizabeth Crawley.
You are listening to In the Know with David O. Informative, substantive, intelligent talk radio on 860 AM WWDB.
My friends, this is Joe Kraus. You've heard me on Philadelphia radio now for over 20 years, and I don't often endorse products or people unless they are real game changers. I want to tell you about Weinerman Pain and Wellness, located in Center City, Philadelphia. And at the end of this short personal endorsement, I want you to consider Weinerman Pain and Wellness. If you are recovering from an injury, if you or a family member has been diagnosed with a disorder that has stopped you in your tracks, Or if you're like me, determined to learn about wellness while getting yourself prepared to stay healthy so you can enjoy the blessings of your family. Remember the name of this warm and caring location, Weinerman Pain and Wellness. Why should you consider Weinerman Pain and Wellness? Because they are who you expect them to be. Weinerman Pain and Wellness, on the web at weinermanpainandwellness.com.
Weinerman Pain and Wellness, located at 100 South Broad Street, just south of City Hall. Call Weinerman Pain and Wellness at 215-988-9503. That's 215-988-9503. Call today. Today's broadcast is brought to you by the Philly Labor RX Injured Workers Pharmacy Network, featuring PPC Pharmacy, First Choice Pharmacy, and Precision Scripts, providing injured workers with premium products and services from the point of injury through the entire healing process. The Philly Labor RX Pharmacy Network cares about injured workers.
At any given moment, somewhere in America, a baby is taking a first step, a developmental milestone. But for too many parents, a baby's first steps aren't just a milestone. They're a miracle. These are the parents of babies who were born prematurely or with birth defects. It's a crisis affecting more than 500,000 babies in the United States each year. You can help them by joining volunteers like you who walk in March for Babies. The money you raise funds research and local programs that help babies overcome the challenges of premature birth and birth defects. Together, our steps make stronger, healthier babies a reality for thousands of families. Sign up today at marchforbabies.org to take the steps that help make milestones and even miracles possible. Who will you march for?
Introducing the YMCA. What, you already know the why? Or so you think. Sure, you know the why for a swim, a workout, even a game of hoops. But did you know we're more than that? We're a cause. When you take your jump shot at the Y, someone else is getting job training. Take a cardio class, while kids are in an after-school enrichment program. Practice your downward-facing dog as a teen practices her leadership skills. That's the why. We work with people no matter their age, income, or background and give them the opportunity to learn, grow, and thrive, all with one simple goal in mind, to strengthen our community. And we've got so much more that does just that. So while you might think of the Y as that place for lifting weights, we're also about lifting entire communities. Introducing the Y. We're so much more than a place. We're a cause. Visit ymca.net/more.
Thank you for staying tuned. I hope you've been listening the whole time. We've got a great show today. We've heard from Hector Serrano, just an amazing person, so positive, so impactful. And listen, I've seen his work product, his dancers, and they are fantastic. Grupo Fuego Caliente. And then you heard from Stephanie Seiple. Whoops, I say Seiple sometimes like steeple, but that's a good way to remember it's not Seiple, it's Seiple, like disciple, Stephanie Seiple. Anyway, she has been so involved in music her whole career, and another person who's just really helping the music scene here in Philadelphia, part of Tri-State Indie and the Philadelphia chapter of the Grammys and the new Philadelphia Music Industry Task Force. And now you have heard her voice before, and people wonder, well, who is this person? And, well, the voice is Elizabeth Crawley, and she is actually a student at Temple University. She is getting her bachelor's in strategic communications at the School of Media and Communications, Temple University, but she's also minoring in digital marketing at the Fox School of Business at Temple, and she will be getting her master's as well. But in addition to that, she is quite involved in communications and also does modeling and other things. So it's quite an active person. So thanks for joining us today, Liz.
Thank you, Councilman Oh. Thank you for having me.
Now, why don't you tell the folks how we met and how you ended up doing this voiceover?
Oh, so it was last summer in July when I think it was during the Democratic National Convention around that time, because I remember, I did it and I came back and I was so excited to tell you guys how it went. And pretty much I met Patience Carter, a Philadelphia native who was unfortunately involved in the Pulse nightclub shooting, and she was one of my good friends from a while back. And so we started a radio station ourselves, and then she went to Florida, and that week after, she could not follow through with the show. So I met a man named James Williams, who ended up working for Councilman O, and he was like, hey, we need some interns to help out. And I was like, okay, well, I'll do it, because, I have, all summer didn't really have much to do, so I was really enthusiastic about doing something, And then, that's how we all got started with the project, and it was just really fun to, work in City Hall and just be around the politicians, and it's a different dynamic that I wasn't able to see before.
Wow. So listen, folks, that's a voice of a young person. How old are you? How old are you?
Oh my gosh, I'm 20.
20. See that?
Yeah.
And that's how 20-year-olds speak.
I know, yeah. I definitely
no, it's wonderful. Listen, everything is exciting, and there's so much to say.
Yeah.
Now, when you did the voiceover, it's just kind of funny to me because, we always come with the slogan positive radio,
positive.
not yelling radio, just positive. And it's informative, substantive, and intelligent. And you say substantive. Where does that come from? That's not from Philadelphia, is it?
I know. It's definitely a different dialect that I have. I also I was raised down in Virginia Beach as well, so I do have a southern accent, people tell me. And but I moved from Philly to Virginia in 4th grade, and then I came back around 6th grade. And every summer my dad has the house down there, and my mom is up here, but they're both together. They're not separated. And so for the most part, we go down every summer, and that's where I guess I get a lot of my southern hospitality, southern sound, and and so it's just really great to be it's really great to be a little, I don't want to say more cultured, but I was glad to be able to get out of Philadelphia.
Now, someone asked me if we could have you do the intro right now. I don't know if you remember it.
Oh, okay. So it was informative, substantive, and what's the last one? Intelligent talk radio.
Wow, sounds like the real thing. Now, what our listeners may not know is in addition to doing internships at television stations, radio, stations, all part of your field of study, but you also model.
Yeah, I have an agency in Philly, and I also have an agency in New York, and I've been with my Philly agency for about 2 years now, and New York I've been with them for a year. And they are just the greatest people to work with. They're always so I just love how they communicate with me.
What are the agencies?
They're called Reinhard Modeling Agency in Philadelphia, and Bella Agency in New York, and they also have a LA location for Bella. So I'm just I'm loving it.
Now people may have seen you, right, in some of
your...
Oh,
yeah, QVC.
QVC.
And we do Boscovs at Reinhard. We do a lot of different newspapers stuff sometimes. Sometimes you'll see some models from Philly Magazine and different Philly newspapers from our agency, and I just love how we all support each other. All the models, we all support each other. It's really a great world, and I don't know, some people just think that this modeling world is just so negative, and I feel like it's definitely transforming into something different now.
Right. Mm-hmm. Now, if people want to follow you, see what you're up to, where do they go?
Well, I also do YouTube. I'm telling you, I do every single thing under the sun right now.
Bring it on. Let everybody know. Come on.
Well, I do. Well, I have an Instagram, and it's Liz Love Laugh. It's a lot of L's.
Yes.
It's LizLoveLaugh with an underscore, and it's all one word. And for YouTube, it's the same thing except without the underscore. So it's just Liz Love Laugh for YouTube. And I did actually make a recent video for YouTube.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so
good.
it's pretty entertaining.
It is entertaining, because we're Facebook friends and
yes.
we're on Instagram and Twitter, I think. Are you on Twitter?
I am on Twitter, but I don't use it as often. I feel like Twitter is something that might be declining in the near future.
Well, somebody's keeping using Twitter.
I know.
That somebody's keeping the stock up, I think.
I'm definitely feeling like Twitter is it's great for Donald Trump, but it's not great for me. It's not as good for me.
Well, the reason I bring it up is because, from time to time I see what you're up to, and it's always amusing to me because you're there getting your hair done. Not getting it done for a modeling shoot, getting it done as part of the modeling thing. Like people are there tugging on your hair. It's all curly. They smooth it out, and you're sitting there smiling as they mess with you.
Yeah.
Is that fun?
It's a lot of fun. I feel like most people, they're like, oh, it's so easy. Sometimes it is easy, but at the same time, you're also representing somebody. You're also representing a community. You're representing something. You want to carry yourself well. You want to, just be a good representation, and I just try and do that as best as I possibly can.
Yes, and then I was just going through my social media, and I saw you just did a photo shoot with it looked like a wedding.
Yeah, and I am actually going to be a bridesmaid. I'm actually going to be the maid of honor, which is a lot of pressure on me. But that was a photo shoot for a small company called Style Me Pretty, and it's not that small. It's actually really growing, and they started on Instagram, which is really interesting. But now they have 90,000 followers. It's really a big organization where they just sell bridesmaids dresses, wedding dresses, and they just I feel like their goal is to just make bridesmaids look beautiful, because you don't want to show up the bride, but you also want to look fabulous as well in your own way, as a bridesmaid. So I really enjoyed that. That was so nice in New York.
Now, you are the classic kind of what I think of as the typical model is tall and really, really light, very thin. How tall are you?
I'm 5'9", and I actually was just about to really get excited because I will say I work out every day, every single day, 5 days a week. Well, excluding the weekend, because I need my weekends for myself. But yeah, Monday through Friday, I always go to workouts. I do upper body, then lower body. And the goals for that would definitely be to get abs, maybe to just tone things up a little bit, because I am small and I don't want to have a small figure where it's just flabby small. I want to be nice and toned, Toned and skinny is fine with me, even if I don't get a lot of curves.
Because a lot of young people would like that, but that's actually part of your profession. You're kind of presenting the product on your body or through your body.
Yeah, so you definitely have to stay fit and eat healthy. I definitely try and drink as much water. I have my little bottle with me right now, so I can just stay hydrated all the time. I would definitely say watch what you eat, because last week was spring break. I just ate pizza and brownies, and I really just messed it up, and now I can see the difference in my skin. So what you eat really makes the difference. It always does. Just know that.
Yes. Well, listen, eating junk food is part of being young.
That's true.
So you got to do it.
I know.
Well, listen, in our final few seconds, could you just tell us any pearls of wisdom for those young ladies out there who might want to follow in your footsteps?
Oh, wow. Yeah, definitely. Just know your own beauty. Don't try and idolize or just model yourself as somebody else. Just know that you are individual. You have your own unique, self, and there's only one of you in the entire world. So just know that you're special.
All right, that's perfect, almost perfect. But anyway, join us next week for In the Know with David O.
You've been listening to In the Know with David O. on 860 AM WWDB. Tune in again next Tuesday at 2 p.m. for more informative, substantive, intelligent talk radio with Philadelphia Councilman David O.